Okay, before we get to the Biden corruption and the rest of the show, I need to talk about something and explain why I'm not going to talk about it. And I realize that makes no sense, but I went to community college, so just stay with me here. This peace deal, Israel, Hamas, here was President Trump.
The whole world came together, to be honest. So many countries that you wouldn't have even thought of it, they came together. The world has come together around this deal. And that's something I would say that without that wouldn't happen. You know, having the ability to deal with trade, having the ability to use tariffs to help me make a point. The tariffs have brought peace to the world. I'm telling you, they brought peace to the world. And not only here, but with so many other deals. You know, I've made 7 peace deals where countries were, in many cases, 30, 31 years, 135, 137 years. They've been fighting and millions of people being killed, and I brought peace.
Okay. Let me clarify something here. That's really wonderful. What Donald Trump has done, and he did this his first 4 years, trying to bring peace to places, is wonderful. And the efforts the Trump administration has made to bring peace to this Israel-Hamas situation is wonderful. I am not complaining about them. I am applauding them. They deserve all the applause in the world. But, come on. You think Hamas is going to lay down their arms and stop committing acts of terror? Come on. This is not a deal where people are fighting over territory or something like that. These are religious wars. Religious wars go on oftentimes without end. Both sides view this as a religious war. Hamas has been killing as many as they can for as long as I can remember. And again, I'm happy that there's something going to happen. Hopefully some hostages get returned, but come on. Peace is going to last about 15 minutes. Go ahead and quote me on that. Now, let's talk about our country and our corruption. And I know maybe you'd be tempted to say this is old news. Can we just move on past the Biden administration? Jesse, I'm ready to move on. We have bigger fish to fry. I understand the inclination. I understand the desire to move on. But we have to stop and remember this. Joe Biden and the communists in his White House may be gone, but Joe Biden's 4 years may have inflicted a mortal wound on America. I realize we're doing better now, but the things they did damaged this country so badly. Just the illegals alone, they damaged this country so badly. There is a chance we never recover from the 4 years of the Biden administration. The weaponization of government, which is, of course, going to lead to more of this and more of that. It's bad. And so we're not going to let it go. And now we know CIA declassified these records. Back in 2015, Joe Biden, then Vice President Joe Biden, told the CIA to suppress a report. What was the report? Well, Central Intelligence Agency, obviously with a lot of connections and information, they were a little bit concerned about the fact the Biden family was corrupt and involved in Ukraine. How involved? Well, again, let's recap this. While he was Vice President of the United States of America, Barack Obama put him in charge of Ukraine. He then arranged for his dirtball son to get an $80,000+ a month job at an energy company that he had no experience in whatsoever, clearly a corrupt deal. And then when that company was being looked into by a Ukrainian prosecutor, Vice President Joe Biden had the prosecutor fired and then bragged about it on camera.
I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I'm not going to, we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting $1 billion. I said, you're not getting $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. And I think it was, what, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Well, son of a bitch. Got fired.
We had a completely owned person at the highest level of power in the world, not just in the United States of America. The United States president is the most powerful person in the world, and our president was completely owned by foreigners. Owned. And by the way, let's keep in mind that while he was president of the United States of America, not only did Russia invade Ukraine, Joe Biden threw $200 billion of your money at Ukraine, and to this day, no one knows where it all went. Did any of that money get back to the Biden family, the family with endless ties to Ukraine? I don't know. But this is the kind of stuff that breaks nations. And look, it's not just Ukraine. I mean, everywhere. China, their business dealings with China are very well documented. Their dirtball son, Hunter Biden, sought Chinese money to get a land deal so the U.S. could somehow facilitate China getting some land next to the embassy in Romania. It's this big, ugly, Washington Times ran the story. It's this big, ugly affair where clearly, once again, while Joe Biden was giving speeches in Romania about corruption, his family was making money.
Corruption is a cancer that eats away at a citizen's faith in democracy. Corruption is just another form of tyranny. When politicians can be bought, when courts can be manipulated, when the media becomes a tool of propaganda, there you will find a society that is susceptible to manipulation from the outside. There you'll find a society that loses control of its own destiny. Not only its political security, but its physical security and military readiness is also compromised. We've recently seen that in Ukraine.
Credit to Mays Moore for digging up that old video. This is not old news, and it can't be just breezed past. Every single part of the Biden corruption from the Biden White House and from his time as vice president needs to be examined and exposed. Where possible, people need to be held to account, going to prison, not because I'm a vengeful person, although I am a vengeful person, I fully admit that. These people have to be held to account because they wounded us deeply. What does the rest of the world think about us, knowing that you can essentially own the president? I mean, remember, speaking of the Chinese money, Joe Biden allowed a Chinese spy balloon to fly over our military bases and gather information clear across the United States of America. Why did he do that? Because he was owned. Owned. If this is Christopher Wray, and there are a lot of indications that Christopher Wray was involved in at least helping this family do these things, then he has to go down too. We have to track down the corrupt people who wounded us and send them to prison. There is no other way to save a corrupt country. Corrupt people in the government have to be arrested and sent to prison. All that may have made you uncomfortable, but I am right. I would thank you for coming to my YouTube channel, but I know how brilliant it is, and I know you love it here. So subscribe and watch. We're going to start really ramping things up and putting some funny stuff, some interesting stuff out there, some collaborations. Either way, my YouTube channel is officially the place to be. So stick around.